Hello, everybody, and welcome to our third installment of Echoed Influence. I'm Anthony Spartacus Tamayo. I'm sitting here with April Rodriguez. How are you today?
Good. Yeah,
So, any projects that you're doing currently? Anything that you're up to as of now?
I've been working on my collages lately. My Piero series.
Oh yes,
Sad clowns.
yes. Some of them are like really funny, and some of them are like really like whoa. Like I don't know, like the clowns look badass, like the gestures and
I
the
love
ones
that one.
That one's really cool, and then it has like old lady like in sad moments with those faces.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh. I'm pretty sure like not a lot of people are gonna laugh at that when they see that, but I did.
It's like I feel like I want to laugh, but like, oh, you're so cute. Like that kind of laugh, you know.
So, what do you think of this whole Kim Kardashian in the White House and everything? Like, what is that about?
I don't know. I don't know that I know like enough. I think, I think, I don't know. I don't know that I know enough about it to have a valid opinion about it. But I mean,
I guess it is a little crazy. Just the image alone is a little like, okay, you're gonna listen to this woman, but when Colin Kaepernick, when they talk about him kneeling and everything, like they think it's about disrespecting the flag, when obviously if you do simple research, it's for the veterans and stuff and the ones who are not getting their fair due. That's what him kneeling is about, and that kind of thing is ignored. And it was like, oh, he's bad, he's this and that when it came to helping the veterans. And now that Kim Kardashian probably has a friend, or what, I don't know why she wants to particularly help this woman, but the fact that she's being heard and Colin isn't, it kind of it upsets me and stuff. But I hope that whatever Kim Kardashian's doing, if it's true about her helping a woman who's gotten to 20 years for probably like a dumb.
she said that she's been in jail for about 20 years, but she has life or something like that.
Oh my goodness!
Right, for a first time
offender.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow. Well, see, like, yeah. I mean, I dig that. I could back that up, and I just don't think, from what I've read, it's not her actually making choices on prison reform. Just talking about it. But like I said, the fact that Trump is hearing her out kind of pisses me off a little bit.
I see.
When there's a lot of people that that need help, like that have been crying for help, and not getting it. Yeah. I mean, if anything, Kim Kardashian should have went over there and talked about Puerto Rico, like help these fools, there's like 5,000 of them.
So you didn't talk about what you were up to though. You asked me what I've been up to working on, but you didn't let me ask you what you've been up to. What have you been working on?
I worked on a painting and I just finished it. I train.
Tell us about the painting.
Oh well, the painting is about it's a Silver Surfer. He's one of my
super cool.
He's one of my favorite ones, and like I think he's a very underrated character. Like people know about him and people really glamour at the name. They go, oh, he's dope. But nobody really knows about him, and
it's true, yeah.
And
he's not like a popular character.
Yeah, by reading his unless they make a movie about him, they don't really know. Which sucks because his comic books are amazing. If you give any of his comic books, you kind of get some kind of relativity to who he is and what he's about, and man, it's so awesome.
What is one of your favorite things about him?
Is that he has a deep heart.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I'm not gonna tell you the origin story because as a listener, if you're listening, you should know it. So I'm gonna give a different example.
Okay.
He gave up his immortality for a woman he loves. You know what I mean? And that's the depth of his heart. Like he understands what immortality is and what it can do and what he's done with this immortal power, and he gives it all up just to be with this woman who he's taken around the universe. Which I also have a painting. Yeah,
that's one, right?
It's the painting. It's another painting I have.
Go check it out on his Instagram if you haven't already.
Yeah, it's 109 BC _ Spartacus. Check that out. It's for purchase as well. But I also have my newest one of him. It's just him by himself, and he's just flying through the cosmos. And
so I have to point out on his newest one that he tried out, and he didn't use a canvas this time. He used paper. You want to tell him how that?
Oh well, I used the what is it? Painting paper.
Watercolor. Yeah,
watercolor paper. And man, did my spray paint come out so clean. Like if
The colors.
if you're messing around with spray paints and you haven't already messed around with watercolor paper, which I'm pretty sure you have. I'm a novice. But if you haven't, I suggest you try that. This colors look so vibrant and beautiful and smooth, and like it was like it belonged there.
And we just recently got some more like professional spray paints, I'd say.
Yes.
Not just a Home Depot.
Yeah, I mean, we don't go. We go there sometimes when we're like in desperate need.
Or we're doing like big projects that need to cover a lot of space. Or we're gonna use a lot of cans.
Yes, something that we can return and get more of. But yeah, like, and then just I'm also just training a few people. I got Nina Rose and Joseph, and from Graves 13. Those two have come along so well. Just like training them within like 3 weeks, I believe.
It's funny. I hear from the room. I'll hear you guys like getting loud and like like getting into it. Yeah, and like shouting, and it sounds like it makes me happy, you know, because it's like you guys are like pumped. And
Yes, and it's only a matter of time, but we could do like a couple hours, you know. Yeah. They really I make them work hard that 1 hour, and boom, they're sweating, and but at the end of it, they're pumped. You know, their energy is high, but their how do I say, their stamina and shit is depleted.
You're a good motivator. You're good at making people want. You don't push people angrily. You push them because you're telling them like you're awesome. You can do it, and that makes people wanna.
Build the confidence. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the type of trainer I always wanted to be. You know, and growing up, I didn't have that trainer. Growing up, I had, you know, the coaches who would yell at you and would tell you you're a dumbass, you know, through and through. But then, you know, I met Luis Zamora, Coach Luis Zamora, and he was very just like an understanding coach, very just like, I'm going to talk to you. And I got a lot more educated that way.
I see.
And so when I met up with my other trainer for MMA, Sean Loeffler, he was exactly like that too. He was just like a calm dude, and you know, if he wanted you to do something and he wanted to punish you, he wouldn't like yell at you, but he would be like, hey, if you don't do that right, you're gonna end up doing 100 burpees. So, you know, like casually mentioning it to you, and then it kind of goes over your head and you go, oh shit, I better do it right. Fuck, man, he said that's so nice. You know, so, but I did, like I said, I get educated way better that way, which I carry on over here.
And it seems, like I said, it seems like you guys are having a lot of fun. And I mean, if any of you haven't trained with him and are, you know, want to get back into working out, you should definitely consider hitting him up.
Or even want to try it out. Like, if you ever looked at, you know, UFC or Bellator or King of the Cage, or you watched a fucking street fight and you want to get better at fighting, or you just want to understand it, you know, give me a call, hit me up on DM.
Do you charge, or?
I do donation. I just do donation once a month right now until until certifications.
So, I mean, if you're interested, and like I said, he does donations, and you want to try it, but you don't want to invest in like a gym membership or like or a class where you have to pay like $50 to do a bunch of classes that you probably will only go to like one or two, maybe. You know?
And you know what, guys, it's really a lot of fun too. Like, you know, I put it in perspective of you being a protector, not so much as a violent person who just wants to go out around fighting other dudes who want to fight, you know.
And it's right here in the backyard too, so it's like you're in,
more of a homey feeling. Yeah, like you can't fail here, you know. You couldn't fail here, and yeah, that's one of the great olive branches that Home Gallery has to offer, which April Rodriguez herself is one of the founders of.
Me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, if you haven't, hit us up, and plus you get to hang out with us, and what's more fun than that?
Yeah, right. And see, like the whole backyard has a station for, you know, if you want to do painting, if you want to spray paint, if you want to do tarot reading, you know, if you want to film a movie, it's all back here, you know.
And sometimes I'm out here working on art stuff while he trains, and.
I mean, I love it, but I wanted to go back to the Kardashian thing, and it's like sometimes I think he's hearing her out upon influence, you know, and I always relate them to like evil villains in comic books and stuff. Like I brought up Lex Luthor, and we know he has a fucking evil intent as the comic book reader. You know, he's down to his soul like a motherfucker, and it's not about being stronger than Superman. It's about having the influence of the people he loves.
Like I'm sorry, this is a bad reference, but Makes me think of Batman. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Batman, the one with Danny DeVito, the Penguin.
I like that movie.
Yeah, it was a good
really
movie.
Tim Burton, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
That's that one, right, where he's like, I play this city like a fiddle, and
Yeah.
it's like Penguin isn't obviously physically strong in the sense like.
It's not like he could fight Batman.
Yeah, but he had influence.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to influence people with his words, I guess, his
Yeah,
charm.
yeah, and that seems to be like if it's not Batman, then it's Superman that has that fucking guy, that has to deal with, and then I just get worried about that shit. Like, are comic books worth telling me something?
I always think that about like apocalyptic movies. Like, are they trying to warn us of something coming?
Right? Yeah, they're like giving you an instructional.
Zombies.
Yeah, like Walking Dead comic books is an instructional manual for survival.
What's to come, yeah.
So, like, speaking of villains too, I had read Thanos number 18,
Yeah.
the conclusion. Guys, if you like, for the story alone, it was very awesome to me. There's a lot of concepts thrown together where, like, the Punisher becomes the cosmic rider, and that story intertwines with Thanos's fate.
When Punisher is the cosmic rider, does he have are there names? Is it Punisher Rider? Like, is it like?
It's just it says cosmic rider. That's like, but you don't know that until you see the image of him, and you'll see the Punisher skull on him. It just says cosmic rider. It won't say Punisher.
I see.
But it's that his story too is pretty cool. What happened was that the Punisher, he was in the last stand against Thanos and his army, and there's this big, I couldn't really tell who it was. It was a big green guy, not the Hulk, obviously, but it was a big green monstrous dude who went all out at Thanos, and Thanos, within the last second, burns his whole skull, like everything off, and the whole big body falls into a building, and Punisher, being only human, like, all the debris from the building falls on him as he's shooting up fucking Thanos' army, and he's about to die, and he's talking to himself in sort of like a meditative state, and he's saying, I would do anything to punish that purple son of a bitch. And boom, like, I guess his soul teleports to Mephisto. It's basically the devil. And he says anything, like, and it makes him the rider. And which is cool, like, he fucking has a motorcycle, and he rides it through outer space and shit. And I know some of you DC fans out there go, oh, kind of like Lobo, right? Yeah, kind of like Lobo, kind of like how the Red Lions like Black Panther, kind of like how you guys. I don't know, I'm not gonna say you guys.
Like, you've talked about it a million times too. How comic or superheroes have come before Stan Lee, before all that. Like, there were Zorro, right?
I believe, Zorro Batman was influenced by Zorro.
And we're all influenced by one another. It's just sharing our version of it,
Exactly. And I just, like, we can go, each side can go back and forth,
Definitely.
But I had talked about this with you before, about how, like, I think those certain characters, not all characters, but I'm going to bring out one, which is like the Atom. And then, years later they came out with Ant-Man, who's kind of like the same. But I think, and then if you read Ant-Man,
and by the way, Ant-Man and Wasp coming out soon, right?
Yeah, I can't wait to watch that. But if you look at Ant-Man, he's not as small as an atom, but the science behind Ant-Man goes further than just shrinking down to an ant, or even growing gigantically. Is that a word, gigantically?
I don't know. I think so. I don't know.
Anyways, so what I'm saying is that when they came out with the comic at the Atom, and then they came out with Ant-Man was the complete thought of that. The finishing result. That's probably the direction they wanted to go with Atom, but because of whatever disconnection, it was carried over to create Marvel. When Marvel came out with this, like, this is what I wanted to do, idiots, and now it's fucking badass, You didn't want me to have X-Men because you didn't think it would sell. You didn't want me to have Spider-Man because you think it wouldn't sell. Peace. And they went and they made Marvel, which was cool. But now I love the rivalry, and as from our first episode, DeAndre Garrett, he had mentioned that, you know, DC should be a little happy that Marvel's paving this way for the comic book movies. that you know, because once Marvel is done, or once Marvel is, you know, once they're done with their stories, that leaves Justice League or all of the DC comic book movies to come out, you know, and do a great job doing it.
I feel like I don't see the Marvel movies ending
anytime soon.
Yeah.
You know, they said only till 2028, and then they said now they're saying a little bit beyond that now.
Well, the only way I see that happening is if the passion for it dies. But like, I mean, like with Disney's been around forever, and they make new content or revamp
and everybody still
and
loves the Prince connection thing, and that's still going on.
Superheroes,
you know?
Their superheroes aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, and I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad that how do I say this without offending, but the real nerds or the real geeks are getting their due, you know, because like in the 70s, being a nerd was a pain in the ass. Like,
was a beat upable offense.
Yes, right. Like you're getting your ass beat for that sort of shit, and that does suck. But nowadays, you know, if you're a nerd, it's kind of glorified. You know, it's kind of like, oh, well, I want to, you know. I guess it's more well accepted.
Yeah, I think because the movies have really made an impact on the community. I
think like a lot of it is like, I know a lot of guys like to say their character is better than the other, so that's why we have this platform, because we love doing the crossovers. Yeah. I love doing crossovers so goddamn much. I love because I learned a lot more that way from each character. Like if I present a character and, you know, and I two of them who I think are evenly matched, someone has some kind of information that gives them the edge, you know, which is kind of cool, because then you read about the other characters so much that you go, oh, this is how he has the edge, you know, and I can do this all day. But speaking of the Punisher, there was some leaked photos they were cool. Like John Bernthal, he looked really cool, you know, running through. They have a video of him like running through a plaza area, and he jumping on. He was doing his work.
Did they have a date for that yet?
I don't think so.
Not yet.
But he was. They ended up showing videos of Jigsaw. Or not video. Well, I think it was one video, and he took off his mask. You couldn't really see it, but then they have pictures, and he has like maybe 4, 5, 6 scars. And what we're used to, I mean, as a comic book reader, we're used to Jigsaw with a fucked up face.
I see.
But this is not last production.
This is. I'm sorry. This is Billy.
Yeah, this is Billy.
I see.
But it's not exactly. How do I say? It's not exactly final production. So I mean, it's too early to say anything.
I see.
But
anything else you noticed about the pictures that stood out to you?
No, they're very closed about
Minimal,
it. You know that it's not much, but we could only speculate so much when we see them hire on a new actor or something like that. Like, oh, this is probably going to be Madonna. This is going to be whoever. You know,
the community makes its best guess.
Yeah, so it's like it kind of, and they help me piece it together.
Yeah,
you know.
So did you hear Game of Thrones is coming out? They have a release date for it now?
When is it?
4/14/19.
I really can't wait that long.
That's
but I'm
so
gonna have
long.
To. You know, but it might be here before we know it. I mean,
yeah, no, definitely. And plus we have Westworld and...
Wow, what a show. If you guys have not watched Westworld...
Highly recommend.
Yes, you know, and if you like those complexity storylines and stuff like that...
Yeah, it's so
right up your alley.
Yes. But it also, like... I mean, even if you're not into like really complex storylines, like there's still parts to enjoy about it. It's really interesting to look at. The music is super cool.
Concepts. They do a lot of how do you say, like classic rock? Not classic rock, but
now it's considered classic
I guess
rock, probably.
Yeah, classic rock, but on piano. Like I remember Nirvana on like old style
they did like
cowboy
Rolling
piano.
Stones.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was my favorite one.
Yeah.
It was like
super cool though. I mean, it's like watching a human be 3D printed. Like that's pretty cool.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah. And it's not just that. Like you couldn't tell a real one from a from a robotic one, you know, or
that's cool.
I don't know if they're robotic. Yeah, they're mechanical, right?
Yeah, I think
We don't want to give too much away,
I don't know.
but
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
hard
it's
to say, but
if you get a chance, again, guys should check that out.
highly recommended. So good.
Jamie Foxx as Spawn landed the
Oh.
role. You know, I know a lot of people are upset. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I've always known Jamie Foxx to be a very energetic actor. Not so much
Yeah.
of like a silent but deadly type of dude.
I see.
I've always known Al Simmons to be a very silent but deadly. He's an assassin, so you know, kind of like that.
I see.
And Jamie Foxx is real high energetic, so you know they got a A-list actor. So let's just see what they can get
Where
out
they
of
go.
him. You know.
Okay. When does that start filming? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure they started production. That's as far as it
see.
goes. You know.
Okay.
As far as I know.
So we have a little bit of time.
Yeah, we got plenty of time before that spawn, but they had mentioned it not to be too they didn't invest too much in the action sequences. It's more of the storyline. Todd McFarlane is a fantastic writer, and I believe in it, so I have no problem with that. And in a current event, Momoa drops out of The Crow. Him and the director, they decided to just.
Do you think that they'll continue on with the movie, or do you think they'll scrap it at this point?
No, I mean, that's a lot of money to be made there. I hope they don't scrap it. I hope they get someone who's a good director, someone who's on board.
So who would you like to see as the Crow then?
You know what? You know who would be really cool is Sebastian Stan, the guy who plays Bucky Barnes.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I would like to see him as the Crow.
Yeah, that'd
Maybe
be
it's
good.
too pretty of a face, but whatever. So, one of the upcoming events that we have is
we
Art
have,
Swap. Well, how does that work? Can you explain that?
What I'd really like to have happen today. We're actually going to go to Heritage Park because that's what we're thinking of having it. We'd really just like to lay out some blankets and everyone come and have like a picnic together and just kind of swap art. Because I mean, when we have these events, I feel like that's what we end up doing at the end of the night is just, oh, I like this of yours. Do you want to swap with me? And you know,
I had my first barter swap or whatever you want to call it with Christina Taylor. One of our vendors, and it was funny. We kept going back and forth to our tables, like looking at stuff like, okay, I'll give you this and this, and I'll give you that and that, or whatever, you know. And
just
like, you
to
give me
find
this.
the balance where both of you feel like you're getting.
Yeah, and I feel like it was an awesome trade. I personally feel like I made out because I really loved that shirt. I really
what did you get?
the Black Panther shirt. She
you
had
got a
an
Black
awesome
Panther
Black
shirt?
Panther shirt with like tribal symbols that form Africa behind it.
It's really
It's
cool and
freaking
colorful.
awesome shirt.
I think you posted a picture of that on your Instagram, right?
No, I have yet to do that. She did, I believe.
Oh, she
but
did, yeah.
I'm gonna post mine too. And she took away one of my, not take away, but which I traded one of my two of my fluorescent paintings
Oh, yeah.
of outer space. You know, they're get a black light under them. Woo, it's trippy.
Super beautiful. And just
Yeah, I put a lot of hours in those paintings, and they really. I put them up all over my wall, so it looks like we're in space.
I love it.
It's a lot of fun, and so yeah, like I love the concept. I love like sitting around and being like, I think I want that Rick and Morty.
And plus like it gives us a good chance to look at each other's art and like kind of like at the events it's hard to you don't want to leave your table, you don't want to like leave it for too long, but you do want to talk to the other artists because you're interested in their technique and what they do. So
exactly.
this is kind of a chance for us as the artists to talk and swap techniques and
one of
things.
the guys we had on our on one of our last episodes, his name was Petey. I don't know what's his last name.
Salcido.
Petey Salcido. I don't want to miss my opportunity to teach him either, but he has shown interest in learning how to do the space spray painting.
The spray painting for sure.
Yeah.
The workshops he always does spray paint stuff. And,
Yeah, and so like he even expressed the interest in it.
Yeah.
And that last episode, it was really good. I really loved how we
definitely.
touched on all topics. And if you guys get a chance to check it out,
Episode 2.
Yeah, it'd be posted up by tomorrow,
Well, for them, that'll be.
which is the first of the month,
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
June 1st. So be on the lookout for that. And
I'm excited for the art swap. June 16th. I'm just going to go back and say the date for that. June 16th, Saturday, 12 to 3, Heritage Park. I'm pretty sure, but I know this is my first time going to Heritage Park, so we'll probably post up a video or like
we'll keep you guys
a map,
posted.
post a map or something
Yeah.
of where we are, so we can give you an exact location of where you can find us. But bring snacks, bring a blanket, bring your artwork, and be ready to trade with people, other artists around you.
It's gonna that's we're coming up, like, she comes up with such great ideas, I think, and this is just the beginning of them.
Yeah, but we're hoping to do a couple during the summer, leading up to
Cool Folk.
two cool folk.
Yeah, we wanted to. Well, hopefully we can do a workshop and a few open mics.
Oh yeah, we were hoping to get a workshop in. That's right. If you guys are interested in the workshop, let us know. Don't be afraid to send us a message or DM us. Or
Can you explain what the workshop is for those who don't know?
Yeah. We've done 2 of them, I think. At this point.
So far.
2. We just set up. Each home gallery member kind of brings their expertise with them, and this is just knowledge that we've gathered along the way. We don't have certificates, we don't have like any of that, but we
diplomas or anything.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
we do have. I mean, we have our high school diplomas. But,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we have our high school diplomas, but we don't have like those
Yeah.
the degrees and shit like that. You know,
But
we have keen, top-notch knowledge
that we want to share. I mean, all of us are, I feel like, curious people that have wanted to explore multiple areas. So we want to help you. Like, if you're just learning, well, I have enough information for someone who's just learning to at least get their feet wet and to try something.
And I'm living proof of that. Like, I mean, I was doing MMA for a couple years before I started doing this kind of art, and it was all because April showed me what little she knew about. It was sculpting first. She knew a little bit about, just enough to show me, and then I did what I could do, which was I excelled pretty quick, I like to think.
And it's funny, like, what I knew was nothing really. I mean, it was just stuff that I had seen before, or things that I, like, and I did. But like he said, he didn't need a lot to, like,
all I needed was the spark.
Just
and
someone
it was just
to
someone
have confidence.
interested in what I was doing. And then I went to spray paint art on wooden weapons, and that's cool. Like, I still want to do that.
Yeah, your weapons are they're good, like sparring tools.
Yeah, we went to the Renaissance Fair not too long ago, which was fun.
So much fun.
And they had their own versions of the wooden swords and the wooden axes, shields, and I guarantee my shit would last so much longer. It's so much stronger. And it would hurt though. It would hurt, so be careful.
These are meant for sparring, not beating up someone.
And then I went on to do spray paint art, which is I think was the quickest thing I excelled in.
I think that was the thing that made you feel like, hey, I'm an artist.
I could do this shit. Yeah. And because it was just 2 things that I really loved, like, or one thing that I fell in love with, and one thing I've always loved. So, and then merging the 2, it's fantastic. I mean, I love this art shit, and that's a hashtag, by the way, y'all. I came up with that. Hashtag I love this art shit.
Yeah, but June 16th, Saturday, 12 to 3. Come out. It's not like we're charging or anything. It's literally just switching art and getting some cool stuff to put up in your room.
Yeah, getting very social with a bunch of cool people. Some extroverts, some introverts. They're all dope,
Just send us a DM and let us know that you'll be coming, though, so we'll know how many people to expect. But yeah.
Before we go, we have to do a crossover.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Duh.
Yeah, I forgot our crossover
Yeah.
one. Okay, so I have a lot of people who are gigantic Hulk fans. And I finally want to throw Kratos in the goddamn ring.
Okay.
And last time I couldn't because nobody had enough information.
I see.
And I'm just gonna say Kratos versus the Hulk. For me, I mean the Hulk, he's incredibly strong. I know he's lifted the whole planet for like a week or some shit like that. I'm not very clear on that, but I know the Avengers were underneath him as he was holding up the whole planet. He's so strong that he breaks reality. All the things, all the sweetness. But then at the same time. He can get cut by guys like Wolverine. He can get taken down by guys like Wolverine, Sentry.
But Kratos, I've seen you fight
titans and gods, and
way bigger than he is.
Yeah, and then, you know what? And there's a guy I always bring this guy up when people bring up, oh, Hulk lifted the planet for this long. I said, there's a Titan that Kratos fights who holds up the whole planet. Like that's
what's
his
name?
Atlas. I think. Yeah. He has to do that. That's his job. He has to hold that shit up. He kills that guy. And and Kronos, he has to kill his grandfather, who is another god. And
I
mean, a Titan.
Didn't he kill the god of war, right? Like,
yeah, he killed Ares in the first place. Yeah, you know, like Kratos has an incredible resume.
Yeah.
And so, like, I gotta give it to Kratos. I mean, it seems like he kills guys like the Hulk all the time. Like, there's some kind of Hulk-like thing that comes out who has a background that he's been kicking ass his whole fucking life until he meets a guy like Kratos, who kind of always seems to be underestimated, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of look at him and go, and then boom, 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 gets his fucking ass beat. It's so awesome. It's like he's like our new Beowulf Hercules, you know, down to Thor and Superman on through to Kratos now. And it's awesome because you kind of have to go backwards. You know, back to ancient history and shit to kind of really enjoy that.
I see.
You know, like let's not make anything modern for a little bit. Let's go back and say this is how it was. And fuck, man, the Santa Monica Studios, you guys made probably one of the best video games in the fucking planet, like to ever be made. I visually, it's the best.
Stunning.
Yeah, it's the best video game I've ever It's the best video game I've ever played. Just incredible, like you said, stunning.
Yeah.
Everything, every detail is very well appreciated, guys. Thank you, and you guys did a fantastic job.
Work, yeah.
Everything. So my pick is Kratos. So, you know, hopefully in the next one we could talk about Thanos and Kratos, because I sided with Thanos against him in Darkseid. Nobody had any information to give me other than what I already knew. So I think Thanos would have won, and so he's going to advance, and so will Kratos. And in the next week, we'll talk about that. We'll try and get somebody on here who just knows Thanos. While I'm on the subject, Thanos, the conclusion, you know, this is what makes it makes it a hard decision for me at the same time, you know, for the next week. The story of Thanos and the number 18 conclusion, man, if you haven't read the story, I suggest you do. But I'm about to give out some spoilers, so it's a good thing that this is at the end. So, what ends up happening at the very beginning of this conclusion, Death is in what seems to be a bridal gown, and there's a younger version of Thanos alongside with the current version of Thanos. Now, the current version of Thanos needed the younger version of himself to fight off everything else that was coming after him. Thanos killed everything in the universe. And so, I believe it was Norrin Rad himself, one of the dudes who came back to try and save the universe. And he was brutally murdered by the younger version of Thanos and current version of Thanos. Now, when the bride came, she wasn't saying anything. He was kind of just arguing with her, like, what does he want? What do you need? What needs to be done? And the younger version of Thanos kind of pieced it together, like, oh, I understand why I'm really here now. I'm here to fucking kill you so you can be with Death. Now, this younger version of Thanos took a different path. He wasn't in love with Death anymore. He rejected her and didn't love her anymore. But this current version was so deeply in love with Death. Killed the whole universe for her.
Yeah. And
that's what he was asking mostly, like, what more do you want me to do? And which is pretty much to die. And but she didn't say anything, mind you. He's trying to piece this together himself.
Yeah.
So he tells the younger version of himself, like, you know, bring it. We're gonna fucking do this. Basically,
because he's hoping that the younger version
kills him. Yeah, but that's an understanding already. The younger version tells him, "You're not going to just let me do it, are you?" And he goes, "Would you? Would you just let someone kill you?" So the battle goes on, and the two Thanoses just fucking each other up. And then the younger version, who understands what it means to love Death, it brought him so much sorrow. You know, Thanos brought Thanos sorrow and made him alone and empty. So he hated Death. He didn't like her. Death anymore.
It's like an alternate universe.
Yeah. That's basically what it is, because this path was already taken.
Okay.
So he reached into another one and pulled him out.
I see. Yeah.
So in doing so, the younger version is getting the upper hand on older version Thanos, and the narrator, whoever it is, they don't reveal who it is, but it's rather poetic. He basically talks about how Thanos hated that version of himself who was brokenhearted over death. So seeing a version of him who loves death and did everything for her made him angry.
Made him sick to his stomach,
Yeah,
just
and
like
just
any
like,
of us.
yeah,
who look
yeah.
Back at
If you can fuck up an older version of yourself for loving an ex, you probably would.
Yeah.
You're like, you dumb motherfucker.
You're so stupid.
Yeah, so that's basically what this Thanos was doing, and it was a strong, emotional, impactful moment for me reading it, and I was just like, wow. So at the very end, Thanos doesn't even end up killing him. He realizes that you know, he's not exactly off the path yet. He realizes loving her is something that he couldn't stop, basically, and so he leaves. He gets the one of the stones, and he leaves. And as he's walking out, he tells the older version of himself, he goes, I will renounce you in every turn. I will never ever become you. And he walks out. And so he's there with death, and he goes, I guess this is it, right? Like, we get to be together. And he's looking at her, and he realizes that she's not wearing a bridal gown. She's wearing all black, because she's going to a funeral, you know. And that reality is fading now, because that Thanos took the path of not loving her anymore, completely, like just rejecting her. And before he dissolves, he's asking death, he's like, well, what did he do? What did he do to make this happen? And she replied, he won. So the only thing that we know at the very end, the narrator says, in every story, a love story, action story, the only thing that is true is death, and nothing but death. And it was really, fuck, it was really
deep.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, the thing that keeps coming to my head is like, dang, like, it's not about being heartbroken. Like, yeah, you can be heartbroken, but there's so much you have to do before death comes for you. Like, there's so much more than just moping or mourning or
and see, now it came to a point where he's just not existing anymore, and because she's death, it didn't affect her, you know. She's going to be death everywhere. So it was just an incredible story. Read it for yourself, you know. Don't just have me say it here. I mean, reading it was way better. I'm pretty sure, like, me saying it doesn't
the
even.
Illustrators put their time and effort into everything.
The pictures. I want to use Thanos in some of my upcoming projects.
And also in comic books too. I'm sorry. Comic books too. Like, you get. They can do things that movies can't, you know. Like, they're unlimited in what they can
and
draw.
They come out a little bit faster, you know.
And if you haven't already gone to Frank and Sons, that's like one of our favorite places to go.
We suggest you guys check that place out.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's like a smaller version of a comic book convention. You know, it's like to warm up. It's practice for comic book conventions.
But I mean, even if you can't go out and get comic books there's local comic book shops in Uptown Whittier.
Yeah.
And what we do sometimes is we read on our Kindle.
Yeah, we buy a lot of comics off of Kindle too, especially because I can't wait for it, you know.
And the image is beautiful on the computer too. You really see the color. It's, I mean,
HD.
I like having both. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't be able to choose one or the other. But
yeah, see, something about having the comic book itself too adds to the collectible nature of it. So I love filling up that box. I love it. So yeah, now I think we're done. Now I think we can.
Now we can end.
So thank you guys for joining us. I am Anthony Spartacus Tamayo.
I'm April Rodriguez.
And we'll see you next time. Have a good one, y'all.
Bye.